Reports from beyond the stars. I can't say I'm shocked that someone took a swipe at her, Eugene Brent remarks as he scans the newspaper. As much as it was common sense to not shoot the messenger, common sense and enormous amounts of political power did not mesh well together. The main article details the very near brush with death that Captain Lake had just avoided and how every single major and minor country on the world had denounced the attack. Whether it would actually mean anything is up in the air, but he was leaning towards no. The poor woman would likely be dead before the year was out. The news that the galaxy was not what people wanted was not being received well. Several groups were attempting to petition a ban on all spaceflight and exploration. There were some religious petitions that all aliens were to be purged, and apparently the Pope had gone into conference with his bishops to discuss how best to bring the word of God to alien life. There were talks about the next great ship to be an invasion fleet to conquer a world and hold it down for advanced strikes. Another had spoken about kidnapping numerous aliens and observing how and why they died in humanity's slice of the galaxy. Already there were political parties based around human purity worming their ways into numerous governments and finding themselves being countered by parties of fanatic xenophiles. The whole thing was effectively a global political train wreck still in progress, and a lot of people were trying to call out what the damage would be before everything stopped moving, burning, or exploding. The door to the receptionist office opens and Eugene flips down a corner of the paper before flipping it back up. It's his ex-wife and her husband. No one behind them, which was more than a bit of a slap in the face. Although, to be fair, many of them have their own lives now and might simply have chosen not to come. Regardless, this was supposed to be family only, and last Eugene checked, Gregory Line was not Miles's father, or even on terms beyond polite with the young man. They ignore each other as best as they can. There's nothing to fight over for the moment, and really, this wasn't about his issues, her issues, or anyone other than Miles. The information that had been publicly disseminated hadn't mentioned him much. Just a few notes here and there of him being assigned a command post in the EFL on one of its earliest recruits. Mr. Eugene Brent, Miss Veronica Line, we're ready for you now, the receptionist says, and Eugene folds up the newspaper and walks into the room he's being beckoned to. Excuse me, this message is directed to Miss Line and Mr. Brent only. But he's my husband. Regardless, the message is addressed to you and your ex-husband, the receptionist says calmly. It's already been evaluated, and you will be allowed to speak of what you see, but the message is for you and your ex-husband. Eugene keeps the smirk off his face as he finds a seat and settles in. It's a small room with a projector sticking out of the ceiling adds several chairs. He's on the far right side to give his ex all the distance she wants. She sits in the middle and the door is closed behind them both. The lights dim and the projector begins to play. Miles appears on the screen, clearly armed, and his body language screams tense and uncomfortable. Ah, it's recording. He coughs into his fist nervously and frowns. How do I even say this? Oh no, Eugene says. This can only be bad news. Then Miles gives himself a shake and looks directly into the camera. The news is good and bad. I'm in excellent health, I'm doing amazing things, and to be honest, if you could have 7-year-old me read about everything I've done, he'd call me a superhero. But He runs a hand through his hair and clearly struggles with what he's about to say. He takes a deep breath to brace himself. I don't think I'm ever returning to Earth. What? Eugene demands as Veronica gasps in shock. I can't. I have responsibilities now, some so big The recording of Miles runs a hand through his head and he visibly resolves himself. I'm going to be a father. Both Eugene and Veronica gape. Divorced they may be. They spent a long time together and blended their habits a little. Not just once either. Things work different out here. I'm going to have many children, many children. And I'm not sure if they're going to be human. Miles is now looking down as if trying to find out if he should be ashamed or not. I suppose this is both a farewell message and a bit of a confessional. Speaking now because I've got so much to do and will have to hold my peace. Oh, Miles, you don't need forgiveness for this, Eugene says out loud. Things are even more complicated and strange than you think. I'm not just going to be a father once, but many times. First run through, and I've got 10 children on the way. 10 children? What did he do? Impregnate a brothel? Veronica asks, and Eugene chuckles. There are so many women out here compared to men that they just share their men with each other. I'm more or less married to 37 women, and they're the ones that think they're lucky. Miles says before chuckling. I have a harem, and they think they're the lucky ones. It's insane. Good Lord, Eugene says, shaking his head. And that's why I can't go back to Earth. If I have to choose between being a good son and a good father, I have to choose to be a good father. I'm going to have children. I have to put them first. Their mothers wouldn't survive 10 minutes without Axiom, and I don't know what will happen to the many daughters and few sons I'm going to have. Miles says, seemingly ranting to himself before giving a crooked grin to the camera. So, congratulations. You're going to be grandparents. Again. Although I think the fact it took me longer than my brothers will be made up by the fact that I'm going to be raising an outright swarm. Huh. Miles dissolves into silence for a moment before sighing. I'm sorry you had to learn this way. I'll try to send contacts, but things are moving so fast, shifting so rapidly, I don't know where I'll be in 3 days, let alone where I'll be in a year. This is a dangerous job. I'm on a warship that's frankly a pirate ship that can switch into a militia vessel, but this is also in space, and the amount of empty space between places is nothing short of mind-boggling. With every moment, I'm getting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of miles from all of you, and that just feels wrong. I feel like I've failed somewhere, like I've screwed up, but I can't find out where. Shouldn't being unable to go to your homeland be a sign of failure? Isn't this... Miles is interrupted by a chime and looks to his left. Yes? He asks in that strange language that is galactic trade and English subtitles appear at the bottom of the screen. You're sending that message to your home, right? I'd like to say a few things. A woman answers, and it's in the same language. I think we're about to meet one of his wives, Eugene remarks, even as Veronica leans forward in excitement. Certainly. I was going to be doing some editing to cut out the worst of the babbling, so captioning it shouldn't be hard. Miles says in captioned galactic trade, and Eugene's eyebrows go up at the implication that Miles had cut out some of the babbling. He hadn't noticed. Excellent, the mystery woman says, and there's the sound of a door opening with little clicking noises as she approaches. Then a head appears near the bottom of the image. It was as if someone had decided that a wolf needed to somehow be a woman as well while still very clearly being a wolf. A gray wolf woman with a huge mane of blonde hair and numerous tiny white lines in her fur to be precise. Then she stands up and up until she towers so far above Miles that he's entirely framed by the over-endowed wolf woman. Then she sits down behind him and Miles steps around her to hug the alien woman from behind. Her smile is nothing short of dopey as she leans back into him. Darling, could you step out for a minute, please? There are some things I'd like to say to your parents. But I'm going to be editing this so they can understand the galactic trade we're speaking in. They don't know the language, Miles tells her, and she huffs. Well, so much for having a heart-to-heart with the in-laws, she says with a smile before nuzzling back into Miles, who smiles in response. You've raised a hell of a man. I have lived a long time. I have endured the worst that the galaxy can send out. I have seen my home world burn. I have lived in chains for decades where mad women would cut me for their own entertainment. Do you really have to go into those details, Agenda? Didn't you tell me you were trying to move past it? I am, and doing so includes facing it, according to ship's doctors at least, meddling busybodies. It's literally their job to worry and bother you. Miles chides her and she chuckles a little. They're certainly getting along. Eugene notes and Veronica nods. Rather quickly. It's like they've been together for years. I've been told that human courtships tend to last longer, and those can last years. So I want you to take what I said about my life, about the things I've gone through, and consider that Miles is one of the better things to happen to me, perhaps among the best, she says. Just better? Miles teases and Eugene grins. Getting revenge on the bitch that burned my world and earning my freedom with the blood of my oppressors is stiff competition, Agenda says with a vicious grin full of sharp teeth. Fair enough. Hopefully, I'm more of a consistent nice than those one and done events. I'm still free, so it's not exactly one and done, Agenda notes with a bit of a giggle. So you're saying I've got my work cut out for me? Maybe. She teases him as he teased her. So I just wanted to say thank you. I'll be doing my best to take good care of him and keep him out of too much trouble. I'm the one who's going to get in trouble, Miss Pirate. May I remind you who kidnapped who? I put you in a safe, secure little room. You intimidated a mech pilot through her armor, used it to disable another mech, and then tried to peel her out of her own suit before vanishing into the bowels of the ship, only to reveal yourself in my quarters when you gave yourself priority access to everything. Yes, your trouble, Agenda protests, and he chuckles before looking at the camera. To keep things clarified, Agenda and her girls were hired to take a swipe at the Dauntless and bring back as many humans as possible. They only got me, and I made them regret it. Only at the time, I'm quite thankful we got you now, Agenda says, and Miles chuckles. Huh. He looks right at the camera. I think I should leave all that in. It's a good introduction to you, Agenda. Showing off the first wife, like I'm the prize, she asks with a very human quirk of the lips, and he nods. Don't you start spoiling me now. I'll come to expect it. Right, well, I have no idea how to end this properly. I fully intend to send more messages and hope that someday someone will join me up here in the stars, although it's likely to be more messages before anything else. Hopefully, you'll be able to send a proper message and nothing weird happens. It's going to be most of a year between exchanges. Wow. I think we should end the message here on a more proper note. On the next communication, I'll give you all an introduction to all the girls your son is attached to. Who knows? He may have a proper 100 wives by then, Agenda says with a teasing smile. 100, dear God, Miles says in English before the video ends. Well, he's keeping busy. Eugene. What? I was worried he'd never settle down and find a girlfriend. The first part might not be showing up anytime soon, but he's certainly gotten himself a lot of woman. Don't be a pig, our son is not coming home. Because he's building a new one. He's doing the right thing, prioritizing his children over his parents. That's the smart move, the sensible one. I'm proud of him. Sure, I'm going to miss him, but I'm proud of him. But we might never see him again. Then we're just going to have to be content that he's living the best life possible, Eugene says, standing up and cracking his back before presenting the newspaper. He's millions of miles away from the bullshit here on Earth and surrounded by women who love him, and soon children as well. I count that as a win. His part said he walks out of the room with a smile. Excuse me, is there any way to get a copy of the message for myself? Putting on a DVD or something? It will take some time. There's all sorts of legal wrangling currently ongoing about the information from space. This should be harmless, though. Nothing in there is any kind of secret, the receptionist says, and Eugene nods. Wonderful. Can I get the number of who to contact to get this rolling?